It's your boy Concert Viz 34 here with another DMB Couch Tour recap. Gonna be taking you through Quebec City, Jones Beach, Jersey, North Carolina as far as Raleigh, and then Virginia Beach. And this is a review where there's some great moments and there's some great things I'm excited about, but there's also some things that we're going to point out that may be a little bit critical of both the band and also the fan base. But we want to start off first with last Sunday. I gave my review here on my page of SPAC Night 2. But we also had a concert. That was Quebec City, the Plains of Abraham, where a historic battle was fought back in the 1700s. So, hey, maybe we get a maker, right? Because the maker references John Baptiste and it also references working in the fields of Abraham, but nope, there is no maker. It becomes a SPAC greatest hits show, which isn't a bad thing, but they're really combining the last two shows. Not uncommon for the band to do that, but because this was a weekend with three shows in a row, people were wondering what that third night was going to be. Kind of like when the band went to Chirac for two shows and then went to Milwaukee for Summerfest. But you get out of 17 songs, there's only a couple songs here. You Might Die Trying, Lying in the Hands of God, So Much to Say, and Trippin' Billies. 4 of the 17 songs were played, were the only songs that were played outside of SPAC weekend last. Everything else was played in the last 2 days. But it was still a great lineup of songs, and the band, from videos and clips. Again, I wasn't there, it's not streamed. It seemed like it was a solid show for a kind of a festival. It was a shorter show because of that festival feel, but they gave them the some of the great picks from SPAC. I mean, they didn't get a JTR, they didn't get some of the other stuff, but they got a pretty solid show for this being a festival show. Then we get on to Jones Beach. Jones Beach had the rain. It was pouring. The lots were full of rain, flooding in Long Island area. I know up in the Bronx, working in insurance myself, that there was some flooding in parts of the Bronx, and I'm sure all around there. But I mean, they gave him the JTR for the rain, and it's kind of a funny thing because it seems like there's been a lot of washout type shows like this tour, but the only time you're getting JTR is if there's rain in New York City or Jersey. Pretty much, that's what it seems like. Is that's all you're getting? But you did get in Jones Beach that JTR back on the 17th, and it opened up the show. And then the cool thing about that show as well, as I look at the set list, you have some people featured here. Bria Skornberg, who is a vocalist and a trumpet player, who was on a couple songs, including Jimmy Thing to Sexy MF, Come On, Rhyme and Reason. And then, to have those songs have someone else doing their trumpet duties, it was pretty dope. She's from Canada, which is interesting as well, because she came down for the New York show, not the Canadian show. And this is very eerie of Rashawn learning the ropes from Leroy Moore. The reason I say that is because a decade ago, when we get to that 2000s, I believe that was 2007-ish era, 2006 maybe, you have Roy showing Rashawn the ropes of what the horn section should be about. And in this show for Jones Beach, you have Rashawn now kind of showing the way for Bria to pop in on this song and do an amazing job as far as Jimmy Thing, Come On, Rhyme and Reason. So just a really cool moment there. We get another Here on Out as well, and it's a great song. It's a song my friends, they did it first for their wedding. They did it a couple weeks ago right after the album. So everyone else, y'all copying my friends, Megan and Pete, who I actually married. Y'all copying them. They did it first. Just telling y'all. Anyway, great song nonetheless. And then after Jones Beach, we get to Jersey. Okay, we get to New Jersey, Homedale, and a midweek show. But another the thing about Jones Beach and Homedale PNC Bank Arts Center, you're getting some amazing midweek shows. We have a Lover Lay Down, we have a Pig, we have a Watchtower mid set, we have a Raven, guys, a Raven midweek. And this band's best sets are usually during the weekend, but I mean, this was a great. And before the Raven, you have a 41. And after the Raven, that's when the Watchtower came. You have a Lion in the Hands of God, a Warehouse, a Time. Jersey got a good show. Okay, I think that I'm getting the I think I get the medium Long Island median and then Teresa Caputo mixed up because they're all from the same accent area. But anyway, I believe Teresa Caputo, if I'm correct, she's on that reality show. She was there with the mob, literally. So it was kind of like a celebrity sighting at a DMB show. It was kind of on some press there. But a great show. And then we have Raleigh, North Carolina, the city that stole my Hartford Whalers. I don't have. They also stole my family because my family is based out of there in the Raleigh Durham area. Some cousins and a aunt. So they stole my favorite hockey team and they stole some close family members because there was opportunities down there for them. So I don't have a beef with Riley, but if certain things were unfortunate to happen, right? No, I'm just kidding. I won't say that. That's not cool. But they got a good show as far as you get, and I heard this on Sirius XM. You get a Stone, which I was hoping for in SPAC, and then an Everyday tour debut to open it, a Proudest Monkey tour debut. You get a Crush, you get a Nancy's. And one thing I noticed about Nancy's is, yes, you do not have the violin, but it is cool to hear Dave's acoustic guitar more. Because certain parts the violin is playing, just like I said with the Bobby and Phil duo that they had for Bobby Weir and Phil Lesh. I heard new parts of songs when they did their duo, and I'm hearing new parts of a song like Nancy's without the violin. Sure, the violin is a huge part of the solo, but the band is doing it just fine. Being able to listen to it in high quality soundboard, right from Sirius XM, it was really good. And also the Rapunzel was pretty solid. Stay or Leave was solid. You get an Ants Closer, Sister to Gray Street. But this was nice to hear this. Thank you, Sirius XM. Thank you, DMB, for again streaming this because this is a rarity for the band to do 4 straight Friday night shows on a platform like Sirius XM. I hope it's something that they will do in the future, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But before we get to the XM talk again, we want to talk about Virginia Beach. Now, this is where you get the debates and division and discussions. This was a pretty basic chick show. This was scrapbooking while wearing your yoga pants on a Saturday morning. Okay, as far as the set, and a lot of people think, oh, be grateful for what you got from the band, and you can't hate and love always and love, 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 blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah. Now, I'm not saying this show wasn't amazing if you were there. I'm not saying the band is on fire even when they play cookie cutter sets like this. All I'm saying is that this is a pretty standard, generic, when you start and you create a player or you create a character in a video game and they start off at like 70 for how good they are, and you want to get them to 90 or 100 power. That's pretty much what this set was. You don't have a show-stopping rarity, bring me back to the good old days. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're getting this mid-set song. But you do have the band that, again, is on fire. So I'm not saying that when you're at the show, you cannot enjoy it. I'm not even saying, but at the same time, I'm saying if I was at a show like this, I could enjoy it, but still be a little bit kind of hoping that they would have played more, at least one more song that just got that middle of the show on fire even more. Okay? You get a One Sweet World, you get a 41. The Bayou's been pretty lit this year, but it's still Bayou, okay? It's you could cut that down to one verse and have a jam and it would be better. To me. You get a Don't Drink, but they've been playing Don't Drink a lot. They always play it. But the real standouts are So Much to Say, and even the What Would You Say in the 41. Those are the ones that would be my high points if I was, I believe would be my high points. You get a Come On, which again is probably the best track from the new album. But my thing has always been you can be a fan of something, you can appreciate a show in the moment, but you can still hope that there are things that are slightly better with that show. And that's how I feel about Virginia Beach. Virginia, to me, to be the home state of DMB. I know it's not Charlottesville. That's towards West Virginia and towards Appalachia, and Virginia Beach is toward North Carolina on the coast. The other one in Bristol is more like DC area, just south of DC. But I mean, I think that if you lived in this area and went to both shows, you got pretty much the same show. You have Don't Drink the Water in both shows. You have a 41 in both shows, a Samurai Cop. You have a That Girl Is You. You have a You and Me. You have a She. You have Bayou. And those are like all the songs that you got in both shows, just looking at the set side by side, eyeballing some stuff. So it was a very similar show. So the state of Virginia did not get a Virginia in the Rain. They don't get the songs I'm talking about that would really make that show to the next level as far as, ooh, I get to hear this. Not that it can't be amazing dancing and singing and loving these songs, but there wasn't a JTR. There wasn't a typical situation. There wasn't a crush, which even though that can be played a lot in certain tours, it's an amazing song that changes the landscape of a show. You don't get that. You don't even get a Lying in the Hands of God, which that's not going to really turn up as much as those other songs, but I would love to hear it. You don't really get any of those songs, even a Rhyme and Reason, a Best of What's Around. Those are songs that I would have hoped one of those could have been at Virginia Beach in order to take that show to the next level as far as a set list perspective. Again, this band is on fire. I am not doubting how fun and amazing every show can be, even at its generic set list level like this. All I'm saying is that it was a generic set list. It was yoga pants and scrapbooking and going for a hike and putting it on Instagram. It was that basic. And that's just all I'll say about that. Now we want to talk. I want to kind of talk again and reiterate. I want to reiterate about this Sirius XM radio thing, just because it's been a thing that some fans just can't let go of, but more of the hardcore fans. Now, obviously, there's fans that don't, aren't as hardcore. But what I'll say is, you can put the petitions out. You can do whatever you want. I'm not saying to stop that, but do not pin this on SiriusXM. I'm going to defend them because SiriusXM is not in control of how long this deal is going to be. It is Dave Matthews Band management and advisors personnel, and Sony Music Group, which the label is under Sony. Sony specifically and management are the two biggest factors that are stopping this from being done. They love the live tracks idea, so they're not going to continue to keep streaming live shows because there might be a fun Friday show you get, and they're not going to do that all summer because they love releasing it 3 years later. They sell the merchandise. They sell sometimes the vinyls that they have. This band has a marketing strategy where they release stuff from an archive perspective to bring back how great it was a couple years ago. You see that with the 2013 Camden show being released this year. An amazing show, amazing tour year, and you're seeing it released this year. So that's number one is that they love that nostalgia. So you're not going to get the live content. The other thing is Sony Music Group. These labels are running what is streamed on satellite radio, regular radio, and on the Spotify's and Apple Musics and all that. And one thing you have to keep in mind, someone in DMB family pointed this out. They worked in some sort of radio capacity. Sony has strict limits on the amount of songs you can play from an artist like DMB. So maybe every day or every hour, you only can play them so many times. And then they want you to make sure you're keeping it at that level, and that's it. So XM radio is different than streaming. Streaming is so much more profitable because every stream, that Apple Music, Spotify title, they have to pay cents or whatever it is, pennies on the dollar. They have to, every time that is streamed, that goes through. And then what the streaming services get as revenue is they get your monthly revenue, your $9.99 a month, your $14.99 a month, whatever you're paying for that streaming service. And then if you're on a freemium or a free version of Spotify or a free version of Pandora, you're getting advertising money, which that's what makes TV work. SiriusXM does not have advertising money because a lot of their stuff is commercial free. So that's one knock. The other thing is it's satellite radio. It's not a streaming service. So they're not paying people per stream. They're setting up deals with different labels just to have content for a certain time. Now, their subscribers pay a little bit more, and their subscriber base is pretty large. You got people that travel for a living, have long commutes, but you're not getting the consistent advertising money that streaming is, and you're not getting the consistent pennies, as far as flowing in from people that pay a monthly fee for just streaming. And then for iTunes, Apple, they get the Apple Music pay, and then some people that buy these singles, people do still buy digitally. You get that revenue that helps support the streaming. So XM radio is not profitable, nor are the deals long term for XM radio or any satellite radio. Whereas streaming, while you're not going to be filthy rich, streaming gives more revenue to everyone involved between advertising, promotion, and then you have the monthly users. So that advertising and promotion that XM radio doesn't get, that's why you have deals where you have Spotify has these limited edition or these special edition live album versions. So you have a Under the Table and Dreaming, Before These Crowded Streets, and there's certain songs that have never been released that are live versions that are put together as a special thing you can listen to on Spotify. The other thing about this that you have to look at as far as the Sirius XM thing is exposure. I am going to see people at Farm Aid that I'm not accustomed to outside of their hits. Mr. John Mellencamp, I only know his hits. Mr. Willie Nelson, I only know his popular songs. Now, I know Neil Young. I know D&B, obviously. And I'm also going to be looking at Chris Stapleton. But I'm not going to go to XM Radio to find their content. You know why? Because they don't have channels on XM Radio that can give me the whole catalog. Matter of fact, all those things on XM Radio, they're limited to a rotation of songs. I am going to go to my Apple Music account, which I pay for monthly, and I am going to listen to their catalogs. I'm going to go to their essential playlist for these artists if they have them. I'm going to listen through all their albums that I can between now and September. Because I know Neil Young and I know D&B, but everyone else, Mr. Mellencamp, I only know his hits. So I'm going to listen to this music so I can enjoy the show better. I am going to Apple Music. Other people go to Spotify. Some will go to Tidal. But there's more exposure and more revenue in going to a streaming site and cracking a deal, because when a concert comes up and Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds are playing with these artists, and people like me are going to this show and they don't know Chris Stapleton, or they may know Mellencamp and Neil Young and Willie Nelson, but they may not know Chris Stapleton. So they're going to go and listen to this on their Apple Music. They may even buy stuff. And you know what? If I like certain artists enough, I may buy a Chris Stapleton album on iTunes after I listen to how he's been doing. I know he's been nominated for Grammy, so there's a chance I may buy and support that artist. But that's the difference between the streaming services and the vendors that you can, like Amazon Music, where you can buy their physical content for relatively cheap. Amazon Music has great sales on popular artists like Mr. Stapleton, who are young and new, or not young, well, I don't know, but he's newer-ish, so they'll have $6.99 sales. I'm going to buy that content so I can keep it, listen to it on my runs, listen to it on the go, not just have to worry about streaming it. That is not the case with this XM deal. XM Radio is limited to a rotation, which people love. The morning playlist I listened to the other day, I had to go run some errands before work and then get to work. That morning playlist for DMB Radio was awesome. I mean, they had Broken Things, they had Every Day, they had it all lined up perfectly. And I mean, I can't knock how great it is, but again, people that are hoping for this, petitioning for this lies on Sony. This lies on DMB management and the band long term. Do not blame Spotify. I mean, not Spotify. Do not blame SiriusXM for this deal not being done. because it's not their fault. It's the label and the management that have to make an affordable price, because you know what, people are saying I'm gonna cut my XM radio because they're not gonna do DMB. You can threaten that all, you can go on social media all you want, they won't care. Now if there's a issue with the streaming quality, they will care. But seriously, Sirius XM does not care if you say I'm gonna cut my service because there's no DMB radio, because they know that the cost to get a deal done is more than let's say 1,000 people cut the service because there's no DMB radio anymore. Well, it's more profitable for the company to just take the 1,000 subscriber loss than have to set up a deal where they're losing revenue wise on just to secure a DMB radio, just to secure a couple live shows a year. That's why they did the month thing. It was a reasonable price. The band agreed, and the band likes to hoard the content. Sony itself likes to hoard the content because you can make money in other years when you have down years. Start releasing this stuff from the archives. That's what Sony does. That's what all these labels do. They release stuff from the archives, and it sells pretty well for the nostalgic fans, the older fans that have the revenue. That's their plan. They don't want to make a deal now. They hold it, keep it valuable. You anticipate it because this doesn't come. It's the scarcity of it drives up the value. And then guess what? DMB radio, you get people happy, it goes away. Then you release new live tracks, people are gonna buy them. People buy t-shirts for live tracks. For a concert they've never been to, they buy a live tracks t-shirt. So that's all I gotta say. It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Oh, and I almost forgot. Oh no. Can we just talk about Mr. Robert Randolph on cornbread? Okay? On cornbread in Homedale, New Jersey, this homie was going so hard on that little slide guitar thing. He was going Tasha Cobb's Break Every Chain. His chain snapped. That is what I like to see from a guest like Mr. Randolph, who's a talented musician, has a talented band of his own. You should check out. But that is one of the high. That's the clip of the week. I don't want to steal anyone else's content, but go and check out Cornbread, Homedale, New Jersey from earlier this week. Mr. Randolph went ham to the point where his chain fell off. He threw the shades off. He said, "Look, I'm cool, but look, I'm having so much fun. I'm ripping the shades off." This was a cornbread that was just above and beyond the average cornbread, which is it's a good song for in a segue into other songs. But Mr. Robert Randolph, you did your thing on cornbread. I almost forgot. To talk about how amazing it was back there in Jersey. So thank you for coming through. That's your home state or where you're based out of, and just going nuts. But that's all I got for today. It's your boy Conserviz 34. I'm gonna go watch the end of this U.S. Open here. I'm out. Excuse me, the British Open. Yeah, I'm. No, I'm saying the British Open side.